another live episode of Halftime Adjustments. It's your host, Eddie Arnett, my man, G Witt.
Tighten up, baby. Tighten up.
Tighten up. And G Witt, here's something new for the show, man. Here's something new for the show. We got a sponsor for the show. So this episode of Halftime Adjustments is brought to you by Jacqueline's Skin and Image, where their motto is beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Behold your inner beauty. If you're ready to start your journey of a new confident you, give Jacqueline a call at Jacqueline's Skin and Image at 615-957-0621 or 615-333-0035. They're located at 7009 Lennox Village Drive, Suite 106, Nashville, Tennessee, 37211. Let them turn back the clock and protect your skin. It's Jacqueline's Skin and Image. So y'all give them a shout out and let them know y'all interested in getting that face made over or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Exactly right.
We appreciate Jacqueline for that sponsorship. So Grover, here we are, man. The 53-man roster. But I mean, I guess the bigger news is we can finally talk about Clowney because the Titans nabbed probably the biggest fish, if I can say that, in the free agency this offseason, which Jadeveon Clowney, 1-year deal, max value of $15 million on the contract with $12 million with incentives.
With incentives up to 15, yeah.
And so, man, we got him. And so, I mean, what's your thoughts, man? It's all this excitement. I've been seeing people excited, and some people were like, whatever. But what's your take on Clowney coming to Nashville?
Okay, all right. So, here's my thing about Clowney, and again, you know from the past when we've talked about it, I'm like, okay, whatever. The thing about Clowney is this, and what we know, and you got to understand what you're going to get with him. Basically, one, as far as sack numbers and things of that nature, I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of him. However, the good thing about him is that because of his status as a playmaker, you have to be aware of him. He will make those plays. Now he'll make those splash plays and everything, but the thing is how consistent will he be? We have to be curious about what kind of shape is he in. I mean, he didn't attend training camp this year for anybody. He was coming off a core injury from last year. So really, we don't know what kind of shape he's in. That's one concern you got to have. The other is, I guess the advantage we got is that Vrabel knows him well. Vrabel was in Houston when they drafted him as a linebacker coach. And as a DC, they always point to the fact that Clowney had his best year with Vrabel as a DC. And what we have to remember, though, in that year, that Clowney was really the only thing they really had on that defense, other than I forgot the guy that was playing nose tackle for them at the time. But Clowney was the one who was all over the field. And Vrabel did a good job of mixing them up and putting them everywhere. So that's what Clowney gives you a lot of versatility because he can line up as a DN. He can line up as an outside linebacker. And truth be known, he could actually line up as a middle linebacker. So that's the thing you like about him, his versatility. We're just hoping that Vrabel can get the best out of him, but we also know he's injury prone. He's had that knock on him his entire career. So we have to wait and see. But now, truth be known, I'm glad we got him. Like I said, it gives offenses another person they got to account for. They can't just say we're going to lock down, we're going to double team Jeffrey Simmons and that's going to be it. Or we're just going to let Vic Beasley run to the outside and that's going to be it. They have to account for Clowney.
You're exactly right. And, just imagine if he is 100% healthy, like you said, he's had some injury issues in the past and had a shortened season last year. But, man, when he was healthy, and I think back to that Monday night game against the 49ers, man, when he was just really dominating that football game, had some sacks, had some pass breakups, scored a touchdown. And like you said, he's going to make it difficult to double team anybody on that front. In particular, Jeffrey Simmons, Vic Beasley, if he gets his act together, Harold Landry. So you can imagine the pressure that front can get if he's healthy and if he can push the edge. Some things that I didn't know about Clowney beforehand was he had a 5.8% stuff rate since 2016 in the NFL. And that means tackles on run plays that result in a gain or a loss. And that's like the best in the NFL since 2016.
Right.
You know, he was voted the number 63 player in the top 100 from this past season. He didn't even play the whole season. So you can see what kind of respect he demands around the league. And he was double teamed. The third highest at 26.3%. So for all those that say, well, he don't get a lot of sacks, it's because he gets a lot of double teams when he lines up on the field. And his pass rush win rate was 24.8%, which is the fifth highest. And so the guy can get out to the quarterback if he's not getting double teamed. And like you said, it gives them another dimension to where you can't, who you gonna double team? Right. Somebody's gonna get one-on-one blocked. Yeah, it's gonna be a long day.
It's gonna be a long day. And the thing about that you like about when you go back and look at his stats, I mean, he's been in the league since 2014, and you know, over that time, you know, his tackle number has been pretty consistent. You know, he's hovering in the high 40s, mid 50s in that area. You know, he came close to 60 one year. But the thing you like about him is his tackles for loss. That's really where he excels, is getting behind the line of scrimmage, having those tackles for loss. He's had 8 forced fumbles over his career, and he's had 8 fumble recoveries. So, I mean, you like those things about him. But again, you know, you look at him, and he brings, again, another dimension to the defense that you didn't have. It is another thing it's going to do. And again, this is something they made a point of this offseason. He takes a lot of, if he stays healthy, it's going to take a lot of pressure off of Harold Landry playing all those snaps because it was obvious towards the end of the season last year that Harold Landry's legs pretty much, you know, were not the same because he was just worn out. I mean, he played a lot of snaps last year. Right. So I mean, with that, he's going to give him opportunity to actually have a good rotation. Because Clowney is, like I said, he's versatile. I mean, he could line up on the defensive end, put his hand in the dirt, or he can stand up and be an outside linebacker. Right. So that gives you more versatility with the team and with the defense, and allows you to do a lot more things.
Yeah, and I'm getting a lot of comments, girl, when they coming hot and fast, man.
I'm sure they are.
It was going to be exciting today on the show. So, guys, I'm going to try to get them all in as we go through. You know, Stacy says that Clowney will make the whole defense better. They will ball out just because of his presence. I definitely agree with that, Stacy. Appreciate that comment. Also, Jabbar says he'll allow Landry to become a Pro Bowler. Landry should enjoy plenty of one-on-one blocking. So, again, it goes back to what Grover said. If he can get some snaps where he can get some, get some time off the field and then come back on doing special situations to rush the passer, that'll help him out as well. And we'll get to Isaiah Wilson in a minute because I got some comments on him too. But man, big time day. Some folks that they knew that he already knew he was coming. He was just kind of playing it out, which I can see that as well. But Clowney's here. This team has this offseason has gone in, if you want to say that, and spent some money to bring some players in here, and it's exciting, man. It's exciting. It's exciting.
Okay, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'm gonna make this statement. Because if nothing else, this year's offseason proves that statement, same old Titans, has got to go.
Let's go.
This is not the same old Titans. I mean, when you look at what they've done this offseason, Clowney 1 year, contract worth up to $15 million. You got Tannehill signed 4 years, $115. Derrick Henry 4 years, $50 million. Vic Beasley 1 year, $9.5. Dennis Kelly 3 years, $21 million. You got to look at it. The one thing that used to dog the Titans a lot was that they would not spend money. You cannot say that they are not willing to spend money in order to field a winning team and make this a winning franchise. And you can tell that also they're not resting on their laurels from last season. They're taking this as a brand new season, whole new day. And right now what they're saying is we got to start hard. We got to start fast. We got to win these early games so we can be ready to win in the later games in November when football really kicks in and get home playoff games. And I know that's something that Mike Vrabel is pushing for. He said it last year. We got to get some home playoff games. You and I have talked about it, trying to win those playoff games. We figured we had 4 playoff games on the road in a row for 4 weeks straight. And where's a team out going on the road that many times? So it's not the same old Titans. I'm happy to see this. Like I said, I'm the skeptic of the group. But I will say this though. We have a team right now that comes to play every game. Clowney is really going to have to buy into the culture, same as Vic Beasley, because we're not a team where you take plays off. You come to ball every play. And that's something that, everybody's got to understand. That's the culture of the offense, and that's the culture of the defense. We don't quit.
Right.
As a Titan team, we're not quitting. So, right. You're gonna, I know people think, say, I heard one comment say he's gonna make the whole defense play harder and everything. They already gonna play hard. Clowney's just gonna be a piece that's gonna help them out.
Right, and it's going to be exciting to see because to get Clowney and to still have $9 million in cap space for your guys next year that are coming up on contracts, and so still got some key pieces, some core players that need to be re-signed back to this team. You got to like the nucleus of this football team. Everybody is young, mid-20s, later 20s in their ages, and so it's a lot to build on for this football team. And as you mentioned, though, they spent the money. And, they're building this franchise from the bottom up, and it started with the offensive line and now the defensive front. And you can see that what the mentality of this football team is. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard-nosed. And like you said, it's not going to quit.
Right.
And, as we get ready to look at the 53-man roster, you'll see how they built this team up. And, some of the things that it was interesting to me that they kept so many offensive linemen, and probably good because Isaiah Wilson is now back on the COVID-19 list.
I wish I knew what was the deal on that, but yeah, he got put on reserve COVID-19. So I don't know if he had a positive test or whatever the case may be. We don't know because they don't give out that information. Yeah. And I agree they shouldn't. But there's something going on there because you notice another thing that happened a lot during this offseason was Vrabel talking about his conditioning.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there are some issues underlined that, they're not saying health-wise that's preventing his conditioning from being where it needs to be. So we don't know. I'm not going to speculate about it, but I thought, I thought it was interesting that he's on the reserve COVID-19 and that Dane Christian got put on IR.
Right.
And Dane Christian getting put on IR leaves room for Jadeveon Clowney to come in and us not having to get rid of anybody.
Right. I got a question from, I'm going to say Gorilla 10. I appreciate the comments and the questions, guys. Keep them coming. He says, what do you guys think about Clowney choosing the Titans? What does that say about this franchise to the NFL? And so, we started getting players of that caliber to come to Nashville and play. You got a Vic Beasley, you got a Clowney, and, whoever else might come in the future. What does that say, Grover? So, they were saying this is a small market team, but I think, in my opinion, and then I'll let you give your piece, but, last year's run in the playoffs and how this team, played in the second half of the season, hard-nosed, tough football, and was able to beat the Patriots and the Ravens running the football and good defense. I think that says a lot. And, a lot of people want to gravitate to a team that's built and they can see a winner being built from the inside out. And not only from the players that they're bringing in, but from the coaching staff, from the executive level, and even up to Amy, who's putting the money out, who's doing things. I didn't even want to believe Clowney was signed until I saw him on the picture with Amy. And I saw him on the picture with Amy on the team jet. So that told me that it was a done deal. So, what do you think about that, girl? How is this franchise now being viewed in the NFL?
Well, in all honesty, there is a change in the view in the NFL on the Titans. And I will say this, as far as inside of the league, I think the change happened a couple of years ago. And I will say this, it started with Mike Mularkey, but it definitely elevated itself with Mike Vrabel. Mm-hmm. Again, the culture change started. We could trace it all the way back really to J-Rob if you want to. When it decided to change the culture, that we were going to build a winning franchise. We were going to build a franchise of players who play football, play hard-nosed football, love the game, love getting out there, mixing it up, want to be out there. And I think that what you see happening now is that there are people watching the Titans play, and they see that effort on the field. It's not just talk. You know, they're not just talking the talk, they're also walking the walk. And you know, and that's the difference. I think people can see that on the field. So when you see that and you see, like you said, and winning, it always brings people around. When you see an opportunity to get into a franchise that's on the verge, that has a culture, there's there's a winning culture, you know, because you have to ask yourself these questions because people are wondering. I'm gonna put it out there because people are wondering. You see it all over social media. Are the Titans going to be like the Jaguars of 2017? Mm-hmm. And you know, and I think we touched on this a little bit, and we both said no because the culture is totally different.
Right.
But I think that's the one reason why you see players wanting to come here. They know what they're gonna. They know straight up what's expected of them. They know what they're gonna get when they get here, and you have to get it to buy into it. If you don't buy into it, then you have to understand that you're not going to be here very long. You know,
right. We talked about it might have been last week before that. You know, J-Rob and Vrabel are not afraid to cut a player or release a player. They're not going to fit into their system. You know, the team didn't have to adjust to Clowney, and Taylor was saying that, but the Clowney has to adjust to the team,
exactly,
the atmosphere of the football team, the personality of the coaching staff, the characteristics of the football team, which is hard-nosed, like you said, hard-nosed. We're going to hit you in the mouth, and we're going to play all 4 quarters, and you're going to have to tackle our big 250-pound running back in the 4th quarter when you don't want to. And, I mean, that's what you're going to get every time. So, you know, it's a good thing, man. It's exciting. I can't wait to next Monday night. And Jabbar says he heard a report that Isaiah Wilson was at another off-campus party at TSU.
and you know, I saw, and I had to go along with Jabbar on that. I saw that too. And I don't know if if it was another one or if it's stemming from that one. You know, because one of the things, and again, I don't want to really speculate about it, but we can say this about COVID is that sometimes it doesn't hit you immediately; it comes later. That's right. So you just have to be careful and watch for the symptoms and everything. So we don't know what this is or where it came from, and whether or not it was another off-campus party or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure, but I will say this.
Yeah,
I will say this. If it was after the first one,
I know.
You know, let's be real about it. We might be looking for another right tackle.
We might be.
We might be. You know, I mean, they're gonna be smart about it and everything, but you know, you can't keep doing this if it was another one. That now, you know. First one we can give you. You know, you made a mistake, young, but after we talk to you and you go out there and do it again, then we may need to discuss whether or not you really want to be here or not.
Yeah, and I agree with Taylor. He says he knows about the TSU thing during his days. Boy, yeah, I mean, well, so do I. How enticing it is for a young player, a young man that's an NFL player, has a lot of money, doesn't have any cares, and I'm not gonna say he doesn't have any cares, but you know, 20, 21 years old, trying to hang out, you know, I understand it, but you got to make smart decisions. Now that you're in the spotlight, you're a professional athlete with a lot of money, you know, you can't do the things that normal people would do because, you know, you get more attention brought to yourself, right? So,
especially with a team, you got to remember, and this is the thing, like I said, he has to understand as well. You talking about a team that was a playoff team.
Yes.
You know, went to the AFC Championship game. That in itself brings a lot more of a spotlight to you than anything. Definitely. And so you got to understand that you can't just sneak around and do what you would do if you were in college. It just doesn't work that way.
That's right.
And I'm sure that was explained to him the first time. So like I said, if this is a second time, then there's gonna be some more discussion and we might be looking for another right tackle.
Carlton Ross says, do we think the Titans defense is now elite with the addition of Clowney?
I'm going to let you answer that one first.
So here's my opinion of that. And because we don't know, right? We don't know yet, but we know that Clowney has the potential to be a game disruptor. So now you have a game disruptor that's on the outside. You also have a Jeffrey Simmons, which we saw is a game disruptor when he wasn't even 100% healthy. And so now you get 2 guys that can penetrate the offensive line and getting to the backfield, disrupting the play. You know, your defense, if it's not elite, it's close to it. The only thing I'm concerned about, as we talked about the last couple weeks, is the secondary. And who's going to line up opposite of Adoree'? Is it going to be Malcolm Butler? Is it going to be Jonathan Joseph? Who is it going to be? And can we sustain man coverage, or will we have to, zone blitz and come up with different kind of ways to get pressure on the quarterback? Can the defense be elite? Oh yeah, definitely. But like I said, because it's rare that you have two players that can dominate the line of scrimmage and penetrate the backfield like we have the potential to have. Along with Beasley and Landry coming off the edge, providing pressure that'll force them up the middle, and then we can get the pocket pushed up the middle. And so if those things come around like we think they could, then yeah, this will be an elite defense, in my opinion.
Well, and I agree with you, Eddie, in all honesty. A lot of things have to come together.
Yeah.
I think, yes, this team can be elite as far as the defense is concerned, but I think pieces are going to have to come together in order for that to happen. I'm not going to call them elite yet just because Clowney jumped in there and we have his name on our roster. I'm not going to give them elite status yet.
Yeah.
All I know is that this will be a defense that will play hard. They will make plays. And we're just going to have to wait and see because there's just too many factors out there. Again, we don't know the health of Clowney. We don't know what kind of shape he's in. We don't know how consistent he's going to be. And for that matter, we don't even know how consistent Vic Beasley is going to be.
Right.
Let's be real about it. I mean,
right.
he's missed all of training camp.
That's right.
He's taken off the non-football injury list. He passed his physical, but we don't know what kind of condition he's going to be in and what we're going to get out of him because he didn't leave Atlanta with the best of reputations. Let's just be real about it.
He did. You're right.
So we got Camalea Carrera, we got Harold Landry, we got Rashard Evans, we got Jayon Brown, Jeffrey Simmons, Daquan Jones. You know what they're going to bring. Let's be honest, those 6 players, what they're going to bring. And those 6 players will make a pretty good front 7.
Yeah.
They make a good like you said, the secondary. Myself, I'm looking at Malcolm Butler, Adoree' Jackson, Vaccaro and Bayard being the starting secondary. I'm seeing Joseph get in, maybe probably playing the nickel, but again, I'm looking at him buying time for Mr. Fulton to eventually take that spot, in all honesty. So, because the oldest player on the team right now is Jonathan Joseph.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 36. So, I'm just looking at it from that standpoint. This defense can become elite. I'm not going to give him that moniker yet because I don't know. It's too many unknown factors. We don't know what Beasley or Clowney is going to bring. So we just got to wait and see.
Right, and that was my point as well, Grover. That there's just too many unknowns, and I agree with you, Taylor. Taylor says, blow the whistle, play the game, then we talk about elite. I agree. We don't know yet. We don't know what this team's going to look like. We got a new defensive. I'm not going to say new defensive scheme, but may have some different terminology. From what we have with Dean Pease, and so some different structure of the defense. Who knows what Vrabel and Haslett is going to do, and Meggett, Shane Bowen. What are they going to do that's similar to what Pease did last year? So we'll have to see. With no preseason, we can't say exactly what it's going to be. And so, it's great. It's exciting because we don't know, but we have the potential. The potential's there, but until we actually see it on the field, all it is speculation right now. So let's look at the roster, grow, because there's a lot of people out here. Go ahead.
Just one last comment, man. Remember what we said last year? Everybody looks good on paper.
That's exactly right.
But the game isn't played on paper. It's just played on the grass. So, we got to wait and see what happens when they play on the grass, man. I want them to be elite. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. I want them to be elite. I want them to be the number 1 defense in the league, which we haven't had in almost 20 years. But we got to wait and see.
Lisa brings up a good question because they didn't mention that. She asked if Clowney, did he take a physical? Well, that hadn't came out, but, an assumption is there that he has taken a physical since he's been here this morning or early today. and he's good to go and ready to go for week 1. But we'll see. That didn't come out, but that's a great question, Lisa, and hopefully they'll say something about that.
He would have had to in order to get the contract and everything, because if he can't pass the physical, then the contract is null and void.
So Stacy says, "Come on, G Witt. They are elite. It's okay to give it up to him right now."
No. I appreciate the optimism, Stacy, but again, they got to play the game.
That's right.
They got to play the game.
Let's look at this roster, man, because
the lesson was last year. What was everybody saying about Cleveland in the offseason last year?
That's right. And then what happened to them? They got punched in the mouth in week 1. Right, and then didn't know how to hit back.
And never recovered.
Because they got beat by who was this Tennessee team that beat them like that?
Exactly, to shock the world.
Oh, that's a good point.
All right, let's look at this 53-man roster, man.
Great point, Jabbar. Jabbar says that Clowney had to take a physical to sign a contract as a free agent. That is exactly right. You were right. Exactly. I did forget about that. So there it is. So as we look at the roster, Grover, surprise cut for you. Because there was a question, who's the surprise cut? And so I'll let you start this off and see if we are on the same page. Who was the surprise cut for you on this roster?
In all honesty, DeAndre Walker, man. I was surprised that he got cut. I really was. I was really expecting him to come in to help solidify that outside linebacker position. But again, my thinking, even if they were trying to put him on waivers and hope he passed through to get him back on the practice squad, it still tells me that something's not quite there for him for as far as they were concerned, for him to make it to the 53-man roster, because they only kept 4 outside linebackers.
Right.
So, I was just surprised by that one.
Yeah, and I agree because they had such high hopes for the young man as he was recovering from his injury from last year. I was really interested to see how he was going to fit in this defense. And here again, this might be a situation where no preseason games hurt a player, as with DeAndre Walker. But yeah, that was my biggest surprise too, Grover. And some was surprised about the Trevor Siemian cut, even though he's been signed back to the practice squad. But he just wasn't picking up the offense fast enough. And so now we rely on Logan Woodside to be the backup quarterback. Although Trevor Siemian's on the practice squad and he could get caught up to speed by him being retained on the practice squad, but he's out there fair game for somebody else to sign him. And so that was kind of a surprise, but not after I saw that they were reporting that he wasn't picking up on offense fast enough for them. But again, I agree with you, man. The DeAndre Walker cut was the biggest surprise for me as well.
Yeah, and with Siemian, the one thing about bringing them back and putting them on the practice squad, I mean, that's an advantage you have this season as opposed to previous season. Because if it had been a regular season, he wouldn't have been eligible for the practice squad. So being able to bring him back like that, what it does is it gives you more time to get him ready to step in to be ready to play in case you need him. So he still gets to practice with the team, still gets to learn the offense. And hopefully he gets up to speed with it to the point to where he's available and you can use him. Right. But obviously he didn't do enough to lessen their view of Logan Woodside at all.
Right. And we mentioned it earlier, and I believe it was Dion as well, that they loved Logan Woodside. And he was already in a better position to make the squad than Trevor was. The deck was really stacked against him when he came in because he didn't learn the offense. And again, without a preseason, it's hard to go through and get the repetitions against live game action, learning the checks and all the reads. And so, the deck was stacked against him. But like you said, him being retained on the practice squad, if he's able to stay there, he can learn the offense and be that guy maybe later on in the season.
Yeah.
And so, as we move on through the offense, so of course, running back, they only kept Derrick Henry and Darrynton Evans and Kyrie Blasingame, but they recently signed Sonoris Perry, which he's got some special team skills as well. And so that just tells me, Grover, that Blasingame's going to get some carries this year. And, Vrabel talked about that a few weeks ago, that they were going to use him more, get him involved in the offense more, and, potentially see some carries as spot duty for Derrick Henry.
Well, one thing that did happen when Darrynton Evans did get hurt, and Sonoris Perry wasn't necessarily out there all the time either. it gave more opportunities for Blasingame to show what he could do.
Right.
So yeah, he's gonna come in and he's the fullback, but also they saw that he can run the ball, and he gives them an opportunity to be able to do some things with him. So yeah, he took that. Blasingame is a confirmation of the fact that, taking advantage of your opportunities and making that impression to where they felt that they could let other running backs go and keep him. Because again, like you said, his versatility, fullback, catch the ball out the backfield, runs the ball well, and can play special teams. I mean, when you're versatile like that, you make yourself valuable to the team.
Right. And, moving right along, man, and because I want to get to the receivers because it's very interesting. Cody Hollister makes the roster this year, the 53. And so, we got A.J. Brown, we got Corey Davis, Adam Humphries, Khalif, Cameron Baston, and Cody Hollister as our receiving core for 2020 at this point. And so, very interesting that, Cameron Baston, I was surprised, more of a special teams guy, I would think, but then Cody Hollister was really a big surprise that he made the squad. And, what's your thoughts about our depth now, receiver, Grove, as you see it?
Okay. So, I mean, we understood the top four.
Yeah.
We knew the top four, Brown, Davis, Humphries, and Raymond. We had a feeling they were going to make it. The hope was that one of these undrafted free agent rookies were going to be able to step in and do something. But obviously they couldn't impress enough over Cameron Basson, who also, like you said, is a special teamer as well, as far as returning kicks and punts. So, that gives him value right there. Cody Hollister is one of those guys. He's a big receiver.
Right.
And he's got good hands. The problem you have with Cody Hollister, I think, in my opinion, is that sometimes when DBs get physical with him, he has a hard time getting away from the DBs to actually make the catch, breaking open to make the catch. But he's got good hands, got great hands. So that, to me, that's going to be the issue with him. I think you'll see him. He'll play and he might be a good possession receiver, and that's what you use him for. But his route running is pretty good. It's not Adam Humphries style, but it is good. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and he's a big body, right? So he's a big receiver, possession guy that can make the tough catches across the middle. And so, all in all, I think it's a pretty good core of receivers. What we need to happen is our big dogs play like big dogs. With Corey Davis. Corey Davis needs to have this is his contract year, and he needs to play like it's his contract year. And I think that we'll be okay. And in particular that we have the type of tight ends that we have as we move on to the, Jonnu and Anthony Ferguson. Those guys can run routes. They can catch the ball. Michael Pruitt can run block. And even Jeff Swain, quiet as kept, was a pretty good tight end as well. Good run blocker, good catch. He can catch the ball, play for Dallas some seasons, and he was really good there. And so, I think all in all, at our skill positions, our tight ends, we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah. I don't know how, like you said, I don't know how Jeff Swain is as far as catching the ball is concerned, but I do know that he's a good blocker. And I'm sure that was probably one of his mainstays, one of the main reasons for them keeping him. He provides that extra depth as far as blocking tight ends are concerned, especially when you consider someone like Fersker, who's really not that great of a blocker. He's improving, but he's not that great, but he's a great receiver. Exactly. And I think he just what Swain does is actually give you another opportunity to run two tight end sets, with Fersker being out there, and you can split Fersker out and put him out in the middle and run a route, and he can get open. Whereas Jeff Swain can actually do the blocking. What's up, man?
I got a good one for you, Grover, because so I want y'all to watch Grover as I get this question out from Stacey. Stacey, again, thank you for another question. He said,
Stacey's on the roll, man.
He says, how do you guys feel about no fans in the stands? So, Stacey, let me start first, man, because that's, Grover's got to breathe a little bit on that one. So, it's gonna be tough, man. I wish that they would allow some in the stadium, but I understand because people don't adhere to the social distance in some cases, or the mask wearing to protect everybody else, and so it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be different. You really got to see how a football team can focus, and the coaches are really gonna have to get these guys prepared to play and be able to focus with no fans in the stands. This is going to be like a scrimmage, really. You won't hear a lot. I know they'll be able to pipe some noise in. The NFL's been talking about that and some of the do's and don'ts that they can do as far as that is concerned. But it's going to be a different atmosphere. No home field advantage, really. And so it's gonna be different. It's gonna be really different. I can't even imagine. I've been watching the NBA when they're playing in the bubble and how they've had the fans on the video screens, able to get on the Microsoft Teams and support their team. That's cool. That's fine. But it's not like having the real people there and the enjoyment of the game and the atmosphere that's created when you have fans in the stands.
Okay. I'm not happy about no fans. I'll be totally honest with that, because I want to go to the games.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna be real about it. But like you said, I understand the reason why they're not having any fans, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm really okay with it, because I understand the situation and I understand the seriousness of the situation. So exactly. I have no problem with that. Watching NFL football is going to be definitely different without the fans being there. And it's going to be different for the players because let's think about it. All the sports, American sports specifically, all sports really, are spectator sports.
Right.
And, the fans buy in, the fans get involved with it. But I will say this, having crowd noise piped in might not be that bad. I watched English Premier League soccer when they came back with no fans and they were piping the fan noise in. And they did a good job as far as whichever team was the home team, that's the crowd noise they piped in. And you saw it, they would crank it up if they got close to scoring a goal or whatever the case may be. And that's probably how they're going to have to run it for the NFL. And, to be fair, how it's going to be, I don't know. This is unknown territory for everybody. But I think piping the noise is going to be okay. And I think the players after the first couple of quarters, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Once they get into it, they get used to, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take them getting used to not hearing somebody yelling for them or against them. Because, there are players who thrive on both. Yeah. Some players thrive on, Shannon Sharp was one who thrived on people yelling out against him.
Yeah,
it just made him play harder.
Right. And Will says they can put your cutout in the stand for you.
No.
So as we move on, girl, let's look at the offensive linemen. They kept a lot of offensive linemen, which was very surprising. 11, if I'm counting right, and really not a lot of surprise as far as the people they kept, but then the depth that they kept as well. The offensive line is key to this football team to run the football right, and so you've got to have some guys there to be able to be interchangeable parts when somebody goes down. Case in point, Isaiah Wilson. We don't know when he's going to be back and be eligible to play. Even though we knew he wasn't going to start and probably not see much action the first few weeks of the season, you got to have somebody to back up Dennis Kelly. So, 11 offensive linemen, that's a lot.
And I agree with you. But again, I think what we have to realize is that one of the things that's happened with Dennis Kelly now plugged in as right tackle, you've taken away some versatility you had with your sons, because Dennis Kelly was the guy who was actually the backup for both Taylor Lewan and Jack Conklin, right? Because he could play both sides of the ball. So that in itself forces you to keep more players than what you normally would. And I'm interested to see how this is going to play out, because a couple of these guys we've never seen before, Brewer and Munger. We've never seen them before, so we don't know what you're going to get when they come into the game. Jamil Douglas, we know him. He could play both guard and center. He's better at center than he is at guard.
Definitely.
But from what we saw last year, I mean, the tackle they got from Atlanta, we don't know about him. We don't know if he's specifically only a right tackle, or is he specifically only a left tackle, or is he versatile to play both? And that's the whole key. But that's the reason why I think Dennis Kelly, being the starter right now at right tackle, forced them to keep a couple of extra offensive linemen than what they normally would have, simply because they don't have that versatility with Kelly like they do they don't have the versatility that Kelly provides with everybody else.
Jabbar said there was 5 million people on Broadway last night. He's going to Nissan Stadium. Oh man. Yeah, I agree with you, Taylor. Taylor says fans don't score, they don't hit, they don't tackle. Okay, yeah, we got that, man. We just
wait, hold on. Listen, I should have known. Yeah, I should have known Mr. DMV was going to say something. Look, the players, let's be real about it. Players feed on the fans.
Yeah.
You like having people yelling for you. And like I said, some people, they thrive on fans pulling against them and yelling against them and everything.
Right.
So fans play a part in the game as well. And as a former player, he knows that.
Yeah.
He knows that.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna call him out.
So let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. Of course, the talked about the shocker, which was Walker getting cut. And so we talked about Clowney. Somebody asked what we should give him, the freak zone number 90. You know, it doesn't matter to me what number he is. The guy is healthy and playing. Hey man, just let him ball out. So you got Matt Dickerson continues to make the squad. You know, he was an undrafted free agent, providing some depth to his football team. Good story there. Of course, Jeffrey Simmons, Murchison, Daquan Jones, Isaiah Mack, and Jack Crawford up front. You know, and we talked about this some last week. So if you got a Jeffrey Simmons and you add a Clowney to the other side of the defensive end, Isaiah Mack and Daquan Jones, you got some good pressure coming out of that front three right there. And
yeah,
and depth is not bad either if Murchison comes around and plays like he's been doing in camp.
Yeah, and I guess if there was a surprise on the defensive line from the reports that I saw, Isaiah Mack was one of them. You know,
yes.
and again, I always take those reports with a grain of salt, because you're talking about people who really, you know, even though they may have been reporting the game for a number of years, they really don't know all the nuances, and they don't know what the coaches are seeing. So if you read the reports, they had Isaiah Mack on the outside looking in. But, you know, you and I both have been saying the whole offseason we were counting on him being there, because we thought he showed enough last year to actually make an impact this year. And I still feel that way. I think he showed enough in those games he got to play in early in the season to where he can make an impact and make some plays for you and give you some good quality depth on that defensive line. And like you said, if Murchison comes to play, as well as Crawford, if both of them come with it, then our defensive line is going to be solid, because the main thing we got to make sure we do is stop the run.
You got to be able to stop the run.
You got to stop the run. You got to stop the run. And if we can stop them with the defensive line, that's even better. That's going to save a lot of problems.
It's going to save a lot of problems because now you can bring pressure off the edge.
Exactly.
Not have to worry about the run as much. And so, you know, so that front is going to be interesting to see, you know, the personnel is going to be used. Who's going to start at that other side opposite Jeffrey Simmons? We already know who's at the nose of Daquan Jones, but who's going to be that other defensive end and provide that depth along that front. So we get to the linebackers. They got Clowney listed as a linebacker, so we've already talked about him, but we won't beat that horse to death. You know, Vic Beasley, you know, he passed his physical. What is he going to do? We hadn't seen him on the practice field yet. Hopefully, you know, this week is going to be really hush-hush because they installed a game plan for the Broncos next Monday night. And so we hope that he's healthy. We hope that he comes out and he is that guy that, you know, had the 15, 16 sacks. Even if he gets 9 sacks, that's great, 9.5 sacks. But, you know, you want him to be effective. You want him to be a disruption off the edge. And you want him to play the run, which we know was his downfall, if you want to say that, with the Falcons, is that he didn't play the run extremely well.
Right, and that's the whole key, because, you know, all the pass rushing ability and everything, you know, that's great, but you have got to play the run. You got to be willing to set that edge in order to play the run. You can't just go. You can't just free fall your way through it, or, you know, go fall free through it and try to just get to the quarterback and let that be it. You know, if you're going to be a pass rush specialist, then we're only going to see you on third downs, maybe, and third and longs.
Right.
We won't see you on third and short because they could possibly run the ball, which means you really have no real value to the team. Let's just be real about that. So, setting the edge is going to be very important. You've got to be able to play the run. And again, with the other linebackers, the same thing. And we're talking about the outside linebackers with Harold Landry. I mean, we got to find out what's going on with Derek Roberson, you know, and it's the same thing with him. We know he's a good pass rusher. You know, he got 2 sacks against Drew Brees against New Orleans last year, but you got to be able to play the run, baby. You got to play the run. You got to be able to set that edge. You got to let them know they can't get around you.
Right.
You know, and that's going to be the whole key.
Right, and we don't even know how long he's going to be out because he's hurt right now, and so we'll have to, there's some more depth that's potentially there. So Ed was asking about Cody Hollister. We kind of talked about him. Ed, he's 6'4". He's a big body guy, possession guy, can run routes and can catch the ball. His knock is his run blocking ability, and not able to get off the line of scrimmage when he's getting pressed. And so we'll see. Again, he's a quality receiver. I think he'll be good for the team because he can make catches across the middle, and he's a big body. And so I think we'll put this receiving core with some good depth and good experience. Will says no more Landry in coverage. I agree with that. We need to leave Harold Landry in rushing the pass and setting the edge and not having him covered so much. I think that'll help him stay fresh as well because, they can take a lot out of you if you're trying to rush the pass in one play and then you go to coverage 2 or 3 more plays in a row. And so, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, and let's just be real about it. I mean, that's again, as you said, that's what was part of the problem. I mean, he had to play a lot of plays last year and couldn't come out the game and ended up in those situations. And no, even as an outside linebacker, you got to cover some, but he was put in a position where he was, he just wasn't able to do it, because one thing and I know that once your legs get tired, it's like you're running the cement. It's hard to pick them up and put them down. and if that happens, then you're in trouble, especially in this league. So you got to be able to keep your feet moving. And I he was adequate at it, but again, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that he had to play so many plays that he got worn out.
Guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnell, G. Witt. Looking at the 53-man roster, man, the big news, of course, Javian Clowney being signed to the squad. And so, hey, man, it's good news and we're ready for football. As we're going through the 53-man roster now, we're looking at the defense. And so, talked about Vic Beasley. Ed made a good comment. He said the Falcons beat writer said that Beasley doesn't have any pass rush move. He's just a speedster off the edge. Yeah. And so, with him missing camp, it kind of hurts him developing those pass rush moves, if you will, at that point, and being able to practice those things with Vrabel, because he gets involved with the outside linebackers a bunch because that's, true to his heart. And so, that's something that we talked about Grover as well, is that he's going to have to be able to make some moves and get off the edge. Now, will speed help him a lot? It will in some cases, but he's also got to have some moves where he's going to have to go inside, he's going to have to dip and rip, he's going to have to spin. That's something that Harold Landry talked about as well, learning some pass rush moves, not learning a bunch of them, but getting a couple that he's good at and he can perfect.
Exactly. I mean, let's stop and think about one of the I would say one of the best pass rushers over the past 20 years, probably. My man Dwight Freeney. His perfected move was the spin move. And let's be honest about it, that caught people off guard for a couple of years until they finally caught up with him. But in addition to that spin move, people having to prepare for that, he had to also prepare for his bull rush. Yep. Because he was deceptively strong and could get up under you and push you all the way back to the quarterback. So, it was just one of those things where Vic Beasley, a lot of his sacks come off of stunts, but at the same time, you got to be able to do more than just the simple stuff. One of the things that hurt Javon Kearse after his rookie year was that everybody knew he was a speed rusher, so they played him for that. That's right. So you saw a lot of times, even in the speed rush, he would get pushed outside of the play. They would just Jonathan Ogden in Baltimore was absolutely perfect at that and making him go outside and keeping him outside. Wouldn't even let him get close to the quarterback. Right. So you got to come up with a variety of moves. And like I said, it ain't like you got to have 15 of them. But if you got 3 or 4 moves that you can use on a consistent basis, you can set people up with them and things of that nature. That makes you a more effective rusher and allows you to get more pressure on the quarterback because just like I heard a commentator say the other day, people get enamored with sacks, and sacks are good. Don't get me wrong, but getting quarterback pressures, that's important because you're getting the quarterback off his game. If you go back to that New England game a couple of years ago when we played him here, one of the things that helped us was the fact that we kept Tom Brady moving. We wouldn't let him get settled in his spot so he could make all those throws. We kept him uncomfortable. So if you're getting a lot of quarterback pressures, that's keeping the quarterback uncomfortable. He's not making those throws he would normally make.
Right, and that just goes back to what we talked about earlier with Clowney. Although he doesn't have the stats for sacks, but his amount of pressure that he puts on the quarterback is tremendous. like
Yes.
I said, it disrupts the entire play when you got a quarterback that can't get comfortable in that pocket, especially a quarterback, as you mentioned, like Tom Brady, is not mobile. You
Yeah.
know, like the guys like Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson and Mahomes, they can scramble out of the pocket. You know, they like to run. But those guys are the stationary targets. Phillip Rivers in the division, you know, Gardner Minshew, he's got some mobility. And so, you know, you got guys like that. You know, Deshaun Watson, of course, he's mobile. But you push that pocket and you disrupt that play, and it throws off everything. You know,
Yeah.
and those timing in most cases. And when you throw the timing off on a route, the quarterback holds the ball, and what happens? A sack. And so again, that's a great point, Grover, to that. And
Yeah.
so Ed's got another question I want to get in real quick. He said Logan Ryan often rushed the quarterback from the DB position, that nickel slot position. He says, who do you think takes that role for this team this year? So, you know, kind of talked about that a little bit over the past few weeks, Ed, but that's a great question. Appreciate it. You know, Jonathan Joseph could see that role. Amani Hooker is another one we think that that could potentially be in that position because of his smarts and his ball skills and his ability to tackle. You also got to think too, do they put Malcolm Butler in the slot on special situations, let him blitz because he can tackle. He's a physical cornerback, and put Christian Fulton on the outside. And so, you know, maybe Amani more until Fulton's ready to play, I would say. You know, and you could, like I said, have some Jonathan Joseph sightings in there as well.
And again, don't forget also, you know, they may decide to put a Dory Jackson in there.
Might be.
You just, you know, with his speed and everything, he could get to the quarterback a lot faster. It's right now, again, like we said, without any preseason, we don't get to see how any of these things will work. Amani Hooker, yeah. Amani Hooker could actually pave the way for somebody like a Kevin Byard coming down front, you know, who we know knows how to blitz as well. You know, and Amani Hooker could go back, put Kenny Vaccaro in it, free him, and Amani Hooker is strong, and all of a sudden you got three safeties in the game, and you're playing it that way. There's a lot of versatility with this defense, a lot of different things they can do. It goes back to what Vrabel said when he actually came to the Titans. He said, you know, multiplicity of fronts, coverage was not going to be always the same. So that vision stuck through with Dean Pease. One of the things, if you go back and you look at the Baltimore game in the playoffs, the thing that got really Lamar Jackson was the different fronts he was getting the different coverages he was getting. You know, what he saw open on one play wasn't going to be open on the next play. So those type of things from a defensive coordinator standard is what Vrabel is about and what he wants to do. So we're going to see that. But again, we just didn't get a chance to see it in the preseason. So it's hard to make a determination of what that's going to look like.
Lisa, appreciate your comment. Lisa Smith says it's surreal seeing that the NFL Network tracker and seeing the Titans sign Clowney. So going across the bottom, she said it's going to take a couple of days to stick, but we've been following this for 6 months. She can finally cancel her therapy. Then it's all done. Thank you, Lisa, for the comment for the show.
Hey, look, let's be honest about it. I mean, we've been doing this since the draft and since, well, really before the draft. And that's been the one question that keeps coming up. So, yeah, you gotta agree with it. You know, okay, y'all can put that to rest now. He's signed, he's in. Amy greeted him. You know, she fueled up the jet, got him here. You know, he brought his family with him. So he's here. So now it's about getting ready for playing Denver. So let's get on to Denver, man. It's time.
Right. Will says, by succeeding with the Clowney signing, do we think that heals some fans over the Casey trade? I think so, Will. I think now that, you know, we can finally get over the Casey trade. A lot of people upset about that. You know, it hurt me a little bit to get rid of Casey. I understand the business side of the NFL. But I think with making this huge move and adding this potential caliber player to our football team, I think that a lot of fans will be healed that want to be sold up pretty quick, especially if he turns out to be able to play at an elite level like we think he.
Well, it's funny you should bring that up because I thought about that earlier today. So I just went back and looked at some things over the time that Clowney has been in the league and Jurrell Casey has been in the league. Of course, Jurrell has been in the league longer. Right. But I just took the time frame from Clowney's. You know, Clowney in his time in the league has played 75 games, and that same time frame, Jurrell has played 92. You know, Clowney's had 236 tackles. Jurrell Casey's 332. But the difference is going to be when you start to look at it is the tackles for loss Jarrell Casey has 60. Clowney has 71. Quarterback hits. I mean, Jarrell Casey has 89. He's played more games. Clowney has 80. So you see some differences there. Yeah, Jarrell Casey had more tackles and everything, but Clowney beat him out on tackles for loss and quarterback hits when you average it out. So it's a trade-off. I think, I think right now you're not going to be worried about Casey because you do have Clowney for this year, and that's going to help out.
You know, you got a guy in Clowney that's 265 pounds and runs a 4.5. That's scary. I don't care how you look at it. You can go along with a 315-pound Jeffrey Simmons that can run. Hey man, these guys are beasts.
well, you know, again, you know, and I know everybody's on me about my skepticism and everything, but my question is going to be for Clowney: can he stay healthy?
Can he stay healthy? That's the key.
Can he stay healthy? I mean, he doesn't do you any good if he's on the sideline.
Same thing for Beasley. It's the same question. Right. If they're on the sideline, then it was all for naught.
Exactly.
All for naught. Let's look at the inside linebackers real quick. You know, David Long is there. Nick is Zubnar, which was signed for special teams. But you got Rashad Evans and Jayon Brown. That might be the position that is kind of scratchy for me because there's not a lot of depth at inside linebacker for this squad. And that brings up a question that Taylor was asking: is J-Rob done making moves? You know, they're always looking. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some more roster moves made before the Monday night game, but we'll see. But you know, inside linebackers, it is what it is at this point. But you know, again, it's kind of thin, my liking.
Well, and I agree with you. I mean, you left off one, which is Will Compton. They kept him, you know. And again, Will Compton's probably going to be that rotational player that you'll see more on probably first and second down as opposed to third down, which is the money down or the passing down, unless it's a short yardage situation. Because we know Will Compton, he's a good tackler, and he's good in short spaces, but he doesn't have much speed, and so he's not that great in coverage. So we're gonna see how this is gonna pan out. The linebacker position is a little bit strange for me as far as how they kept players. Like we said, they only kept 4 outside linebackers. They only kept 5 inside linebackers. So you're really expecting, in all honesty, that Rashad Evans, Jayon Brown, and David Long Jr. just bring it all in. You know, you're going to rotate those 3 and keep them rolling. And David Long Jr. showed last year as a rookie. Good. He had some good plays. He had some plays where he missed, but he had some good plays. He actually, the Baltimore game where Jayon Brown had to be out, he was actually calling plays before they hit. So you know the guy is studying the film, knowing what's going on. So you're hoping those 3 rotating will be solid throughout the year. It's a long season, but you're hoping those 3 will be solid throughout the year.
Right. Here's another good question, and keep them coming, guys. Ed says, based on the NFL COVID rules, would Clowney be available week 1? That's a great question because he's got to take his test. He's got to have 3 negative tests in a row, and then you know he's eligible to play. And so we'll see what happens with that. More to come.
Yes.
But more to come. We'll see. It's gonna be an interesting week leading up to Monday night, right? It's gonna be very interesting. So to move on, Grover, we get to the DBs. Of course, not a whole bunch of surprises there. Chris Milton does make the squad as they signed him here late yesterday or today, along with Butler, Jackson, Fulton, and Jonathan Joseph. Again, the safeties, Vaccaro, Bayer, Hooker, Jackson, Kalu, and Cruikshank. Cruikshank's on the IR, of course. And so secondary, it is what it is, and they've got it as we thought it would be. I think the most pleasant surprise outside of Clowney and some of the others is the kicker that we got, Stephen Gostkowski. And so, you know, New England of the South as we bring in these players. You know, and he was hurt some last year that kind of cut his season short. And so I'm assuming he's healthy now and, you know, consistent kicker for the Patriots for his career. And so that's what we need as the debacle at kicker. The kicker position we had last season, and you know, to mention those games again that we lost because of field goal kicking. So now, you know, you got a consistent kicker that's proven in the NFL and big game kicks in particular. And so, and of course, you got Brett Kern back at punter, Pro Bowl punter.
Yeah.
And so, now that's the 53-man roster, Grover. And you know, the only surprise that we thought about DeAndre Walker.
Well, you know, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Don't discount the fact that Dan Christian is on IR, because that he's really your real gunner as far as special teams is concerned.
Right.
Made a lot of great plays for us on special teams. So he's proven his worth ever since he's been here. And that's one player I'm a little concerned about being on IR at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Because he definitely was a guy who made plays on special teams. You know, he may not get into games as far as in coverage. Sometimes he was in dime or prevent coverage or whatever the case may be. But as far as special teams plays, I mean, he made them. He was the one who blocked the field goal against Indianapolis last season.
Yeah.
When he jumped over the lineman and went in there and blocked the field goal. He's the one who really, when you think about it, goes down there against New England and dials the ball on the one at the end of the game. I mean, you got to stop and think about these things. These are crucial plays that you make on special teams.
That's right.
And, him being on IR, that really is a concern for me as far as our special teams are concerned. Like you said, with the field goal kicker, my biggest concern about him, of course, notwithstanding accuracy, is strength of leg. How strong is his leg right now?
Right.
And again, is he going to be consistent enough? Because last year, that was a total debacle. And you know how bad it was, because really the only one who got signed to a team was Ryan Suckup. He went to Tampa Bay, and then Greg Joseph ends up going on the Tampa Bay practice squad. So you stop and think about that. Carlos Santos went to Chicago on their practice squad. Yep. So you see these things happening, and field goal kickers, man, they come at a premium. It's hard to get one that's consistent, as we saw last year. It's hard.
And you know there's somebody making comments about kickers. Shall I say his name? I shouldn't have to. Taylor Stokes, the kicker.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
Right. And so, like you mentioned, great point about Dan Cruikshank. He was a key special teams contributor. And so, and this goes to what Ed was asking about the Chris Jackson, the safety from Marshall. Here's a guy that can step up and fulfill that role on special teams. They said he was doing a good job on special teams in camp. And so I expect to see him out there. And hopefully, he fills that void with Dane being out for no time long. They got Adam Humphries listed as the main punt returner right now, and Khalif Raymond as the kickoff returner. But we'll see how that goes as week one comes around. So, Grover, we made it. We made it through the offseason. We made it through the preseason without seeing any games. And so now, here we are, a week from kickoff. And it's big time football getting ready to happen this week coming up.
Absolutely. I mean, and I'm sad about not being able to go to the games right now, but man, I'm just excited that we get to see football again. Especially NFL football, man, because it's the real deal, and I love it, and I'm looking forward to it to see how our offense does against that great Denver defense, because that defense is not going to be a slouch, and how our defense is going to handle their offense, because Denver's got a lot of weapons too. So, it's going to be interesting to see how all this is going to play out. But again, without the advantage of having preseason games, we're in a wait and see mode. And next week is it, man. It's on.
Right. And Dion asked about Cruikshank if he's eligible to return. Thanks, Jabbar, for answering that. After week 3 on the IR designated to return list, so he can come back. Hopefully he can. Like you said, Grover, he's an important role in special teams. Not to mention, if you watch some of the replay of the playoff games, you saw him playing some important plays in those games, and he even made some pass breakups as well. And so, here we are, man. Like I said, it's 53-man roster is set. We're ready for week 1, going to Mile High against the Broncos, Jarrell Casey, and those guys. And it's going to be a tense atmosphere, whether it's fans or not. It's going to be a lot going on, because everybody's going to want to see the Titans. And everybody's going to want to see Jarrell Casey play against his former team.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but the Titans are going to be must-watch TV if this defense plays ball.
When have you ever seen that happen, man?
Right. Hopefully, Clowney is, he goes to the protocol and has the negative test, and he comes out and he's healthy and he's ready to play on Monday night. I'm sure he'll be on some kind of play count regiment. Being that he hadn't been through camp, we'll see. But I'm really excited to see this defense, and not to mention Derrick Henry and they said the work he put in the offseason, that he looks faster, he looks quicker, you know, and this offensive line get to moving. And it's an exciting time, man. Exciting time. It's football season. It's here.
It's football season, man. I can't wait to see how defense is going to stack up against Derrick Henry. To see if our offense is going to be, considering the fact that we're bringing back 10 out of 11 players on the starting offense that went to the AFC Championship game, that showed the mental to score an average of 20 points in when Ryan Tannehill took over as QB. I'm looking forward to seeing them. I'm looking forward to seeing this defense that showed last year that, you know, 4th and 1 trying to run up the middle is just not going to happen. So I'm looking forward to seeing that defense and how stout they can be against the run, as well as if they're going to be any better against the pass. So, right. Yeah, there's a lot of questions we got to answer, man. But, I mean, yeah, it's coming around. So this first 3 weeks of football, man, is going to be real interesting. Yeah, it's going to be real interesting.
Will says he guess he's going to call in next Tuesday morning. Guys, again, thank you for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnell, G. Witt. Guys, thank you for the love, the support, the comments, the questions. Keep them coming. Join us next Sunday, guys. You don't want to miss this show next Sunday. We have a great show planned. You don't want to miss it because we have a special guest. Former Titan Pro Bowl safety Chris Hope is going to join us next week. So make sure y'all join us next Sunday night at 7 p.m. to see Chris Hope, get him on the show, talk some Titans football, get ready for the Monday night game. And we'll put out some information because we're probably going to try to jump on during the halftime of the Broncos and Titans game on Monday night. Just kind of get some thoughts about the first half and how things are going. And I only promise to do that if Grover can control his emotions on the first half of the game. So hopefully we'll be winning the game. So we'll come on and be able to talk. If not, I don't know what we're going to get, guy. I don't know what we're going to get.
Hey, look, at least I'm consistent. You know if we're winning, I'm consistent. If we're losing, I'm consistent. I'm not the happy capper when we're losing. You know, I don't like to lose. Right. So
join us next Sunday night, 7 p.m. Pro Bowler Chris Hope, former safety for the Titans, will be with us. He's gonna join us live. He's gonna be on the show. Get your questions into him. He's gonna be with us, and hey, man, it's gonna be a great.
We're gonna talk some football, baby.
Talk some football. So again, thank you for joining us tonight for this episode. Join us next week at 7 p.m. Your man Eddie out now, my man G. Witt across the way.
Tighten up.
Football season is here. Let's get it. Peace.